Hey there, Soul Shines! It's Michelle here, and I'm inviting you to wake up and live. And it's been a bit, not as long as it had been, because I had that really long reprieve. Um, Today I want to talk about being an empath. And before I talk about that, I'm just going to apologize again. I am in kind of a transition. I think I'm kind of addicted. Whoa, hello, I'm sticking to the butterflies. I'm gonna leave that in there, by the way. I think I'm kind of addicted to the idea of like this transformation or stuff. Like I don't know, because it keeps coming up a lot. I shared in my video a couple times ago about the question that I used to pull myself out of the funk, and I have just continued to use questions like that to pull myself out of the funk. To the point where I actually have started doing my business again. And I'm struggling in a bit. I'm kind of have a struggle with YouTube because in my business, my focus keeps returning to focusing on the home. When I put out there that I do home healings, I actually get people interested. When I put out there I'm doing other kind of things, people are like, but people want the home healings. And so there's just kind of this energy, it's like synchronistic. It's like I get aligned with it, and people are like, yes, yes, I want to. And then I'm like, oh no, I think I want to do this, and it gets off track. So I've come back to being aligned with the home healing. Every time I do a presentation about it, I get passionate. The little challenge that's put me with on YouTube is I'm not quite sure. Do I keep talking in YouTube like I kind of have been? Do I kind of change it to work with my home stuff? So that's kind of where I'm at. But today I want to talk about being an empath. One of the surefire ways to know you're an empath is if you go to an event like I did last Saturday and you notice that your mood changes every time a new presenter speaks. That is a surefire way to know because I had these up and downs, and I do this every time I go to an event. I forget to shield. I don't really like shielding in general, just for myself. I prefer to feel connected and haven't quite figured out how to shield and feel connected. And yet, I know when I go to energy conferences and events and stuff that I really need to do that. I need to shield before I go. Because it always is the case. The energy goes so much like this up and down all day long. It's crazy. And so that's one of the ways you can know you're an empath. Another way is if you go into the store and you feel amazing. I used to do this all the time. I felt so amazing, like so upbeat. And I would go into the store, and by the time I left the store, I was so cranky. And I didn't know why. I would even do things like, is it about money? And I was like, would do belief work about money, and it wasn't about money. It was seriously, I went in, picked up everything. Another way you know you're an empath is if you walk into a room and nobody could be saying anything. It could be totally quiet, but you can feel that there was a fight in that room. Those are some of the ways you can know that you're an empath. A lot of us have empathic abilities. Some of us, like our hardcore empaths, we just take on everybody's stuff. Um, and it can be quite overwhelming. It can be very frustrating. You can get illnesses and they may not actually be yours. I recently heard of somebody who had a pain and she asked questions. So she asked a question about the pain and found out that while she was at the park, she was picking up the energy of the park where a tree had been cut down. And so the pain of her that she got in her body was that information had came in, but she didn't know how to process it or acknowledge it, and until she like asked the questions, got the answers, and then the pain went away. The energies just needed to be acknowledged, and that's what happened. Myself, I'm in house empath, so I tune in really easily without even thinking about it, not even being aware. I tune into homes really quickly. I've for as long as I can remember, even as a little girl, I didn't necessarily know why, but I knew there were places I hated going, and there were places that I loved going. And as I grew older, I realized it was about the energy in those places. And I still do that. It's amazing walking through a building and feeling the energy change as you go from space to space, room to room. It's pretty crazy, and it's my life. Um, so if you're an empath, what do you do? Whether you are a hardcore, like you just pick up everybody's stuff, or you just occasionally can be an empath, because I think everybody has the ability to be an empath. So what do you do? My go-to methods are, because I believe in God, I ask God to shine a light on everything that is not mine. Sometimes if we just release it, I'm releasing everything that's not mine. You'll have stuff come off, but there are things that we take in from other people's energies and then we think that they're ours. And so I like to ask God to shine a light on everything that's not mine. So it lights up all the stuff that I would have known was not mine anyway, but also the things that I think are mine that aren't mine. If you don't believe in God, you can ask the universe to shine a light. You can ask your higher self to shine a light. Um, you just set the intention that everything that is not mine, according to the highest, purest truth of who I am, will be lit up, and then I'm releasing everything that is not mine. Just that effort of lighting it up shines a light on it, like, oh, this is not yours. So maybe I thought it was mine, but the light came on and I realize now it's not mine. So now after everything's lit up, then I can just say I'm releasing everything that's not mine. I usually release it, I send it to God so that He can do with whatever He wants to do with it. I know some people that say return to sender. Most people who do this add with consciousness. Um, it's not a good idea just to release it, because then it's just hanging out here without any intent or purpose. So releasing it in with the intent that it transmutes into higher vibration. Um, Sometimes I release it to God and ask that He clear it and He clears it, transmutes it, and sends it to the sender with His truth to kind of shift their energy into a positive way. So these are just some of the things. If you like shields, do shields. Um, if you have a tip on how I can make a shield and still feel connected, let me know, because that's my big thing. I love being connected. I need that connection to people, and I have tried lots of different kinds of shields, and I usually just feel really disconnected. The one way that I do better that's kind of a shield, but kind of not a shield, and if I remember to do this, is I imagine this little tiny itty bitty light, placing it in my heart, in the very center of my heart chakra, and then imagining it growing and growing and growing. So it's just expanding light in a sphere, so it goes in all directions, growing and growing and growing and growing and growing until it encompasses my entire body, making it a sphere behind and to the sides, in front, above, and below, down into the earth. And just keep expanding it. I love it when I can expand it as far as I can imagine. Sometimes when I'm in the right mood, I can imagine it going out into the universe. If you can expand it out quite a ways, it can act kind of like a shield, but this is just your light going out. As you shine light out, it's kind of hard for heavier things to come in because you don't vibrate with them. You're vibrating at a higher vibration. So that's one that I like. That's an important tool I think that empaths have. Need to have access to. I think it's really important to ask, whose is this? Whose is this energy? Is it mine? And if it's not, then do something to release it. And what happens when you notice somebody is draining you? There's a lot of different ideas and beliefs about how to handle it. Some people believe that like they just chop a cord off and let it go, and I feel like that's very cruel almost. almost, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good to me to do that. To just like imagine that the connection is just sliced off. Um, some people I know, they imagine, like, I don't know if you know, like how you pull a cord and you kind of yank it a little bit, it just like zaps in. Um, what would those be? Like sometimes like vacuum cleaners, like you pull the electric cord and it's set in a thing that winds it inside, and so you just kind of tug it a little bit farther and it just shifts back in. Or like you can imagine a measuring tape, the metal ones that you know how you can lock it and it just holds it out. Well, you unlock it, it just zaps back in. You can do that kind of thing. You can imagine energy, and if you're imagining you've got this cord that you unhook it from yourself, tack some love and truth on that energy, you know, big energy of love and truth, high vibration, and then send it back to them. If you feel like that, another thing that I've done is usually I feel drained because they're taking this energy without my awareness or permission. And so, what I personally do when I become aware of it is that I open up and make sure my crown chakra is open, and I actually send them energy because what you resist persists. And so, if I'm resisting them taking my energy, if I give it to them, they're no longer taking it. Plus, I've got the flow happening and I don't feel drained. So that's what I like to do. I like to become aware of who it is and then just actually send them the energy. It's like, oh, you want some energy? Here, let me give you some. And I will send them energy. Um, is there any other kind of tips or tricks I can quickly share with you about being an empath? One of the challenges of being an empath is when you feel things, if you're not aware to ask, is it mine? We often think it's ours. And so some of us can kind of feel like we're going crazy. Like, I'm angry all the time, but I have no reason to be angry. I don't understand what's going on. When you learn that you're picking up other people's, you can um, recognize that it's not yours. You can let it go. The more you do inner work and clear out those anger energies and the sadness energies and all that kind of stuff, the better. So as I have in my life cleared out anger, I clear out so much anger that I'm no longer vibrating at the energy or at the vibration of anger. So I'm no longer vibrating there. Then when that anger energy comes at me from somewhere else, it's a lot easier for me to say, that's not mine. Because it no longer feels like me. It's like the tuning fork. If I've got anger in me and this anger energy is coming at me, not only am I feeling the stuff that's not mine, it's causing the anger inside of me to begin to vibrate as well. And so then it's like, because I have anger inside of me, I can't tell whose anger is whose. And so as I release the different emotions from my body, um, then as the different emotions come from outside of me, I can become very aware that it's not mine. I still feel it, I still sense it, it still offers me, there's a gift that comes with being an empath. You have compassion for people naturally because you can feel what they're going through. And so those gifts actually make it so you can be a really good healer, you can make a really good friend. You often were the people that people come to talk to when things aren't going so great. Um, that kind of thing, because we offer that compassion because we can feel it. And so there's a gift in that. And so recognizing that's a gift is super powerful. Instead of resisting being an empath, we can embrace being an empath by recognizing all the amazing gifts there are. And the knowing that what's inside of us vibrates when all those things come at us helps us to realize we got to let that stuff go. And then when that stuff comes at us, instead of it triggering the anger inside of us, we feel the anger, and then we can come at it as, okay, this person is feeling angry. Is there anything I can do to help them? And a part of that, is it your responsibility to help them? A lot of empaths come into the world with this savior complex. Like they feel like because they can feel everything, they know something's a problem. We have such big hearts. We want to help people. We feel like that it's our job to help them, but it's not our job. Um, it can be if we ask permission for help, or if we just even ask the energy, is there anything I can do for that person? And sometimes the answer is give them space. Sometimes it's to send them some love. Sometimes it's to hear them. Just asking the question, is there anything I can do to support this person? Is there anything I can do to help? Instead of just automatically trying. So often as healers, we're like, oh my gosh, this person's having a bad day. I'm going to fix it. And we just get in there sending energy or healing without their permission or without the energy's permission. You can ask their soul if you don't feel safe asking them directly. But without that permission, that energy permission, you are doing that same thing that that person who's taking your energy is doing. Um, it's a crossing of boundaries. So you've got to have that permission. And sometimes that's as simple as just asking, is there anything I can do? And if there's not, if you get told, no, this is not for you to take care of, then you can just say, okay, I love them anyway, and walk away, or whatever you feel like you need to do. I hope that made sense. I feel like sometimes the ideas coming at me, expressing them is a little bit of a challenge. I feel like things sometimes get muddled, and I'm not always certain that my message comes across the way I want it to. So that's my message for you guys today. Lots of little information. Watch it as many times as you need to. It's on YouTube, right? Feel free to share if you want to. Feel free to like if you want to. I love comments. That's one of my favorite things. But I'm like, oh, somebody may love to make a comment. That's my favorite part of YouTube, I think. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to let your soul shine big, bright, light, and beautiful. And I'll see you guys next.